And now, the International Vienna for Everyone. And now, the International Vienna for Everyone.
But it's working out well.
Okay.
My community is welcoming it pretty much well.
Yeah, I guess it's a small community, but you don't maybe have massive competition. Is there a lot?
Yeah. There's not a lot now. Actually, I've just recently noticed that there are a couple more. One or two, actually, not one. I just noticed one. And it's new. It's not an old one, but the international has been going on for more than a year.
Okay. Well, a year is still new.
It's still new, yeah, definitely. When I look at other podcasts, I see, for example, famous ones, they started in 2009.
Yeah.
And back then I had no idea what a podcast was.
I feel like the word podcast entered standard lexicon in like 1
During
year.
the pandemic.
Huh?
During the pandemic?
Maybe, or a bit before that, but it was just, I remember people were using it for a long time and I did not know what the word meant. And then I thought you had to have an iPod. Because it's a podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe that
makes sense, actually.
Maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know.
But it makes sense. It makes sense, yes, of course. But I also mainly not found out about it, but I really started to explore them during the pandemic. That's also when I started this podcast, and that's when many people started the podcast.
Yeah,
Pandemic. Luckily, it didn't end up being just a pandemic podcast that as soon as the lockdown was over, it stopped. No, this one went on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I had
resisted.
It was this. I had one, but not during the pandemic.
What was it about?
It was about the presidential election in Ireland because it was so boring. I made like 8-part podcast series about it, basically just making fun of it.
For how long did it go?
2 months. Because it was just then once the election happened, there was no reason to continue it.
How many episodes?
8.
8 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, that's once a week almost.
It was about once a week. Yeah, it was super unprofessional, but I got a lot of people listening to it because it was like funny and stupid, and no one else was really doing it. Yeah.
Well, where did you get the audience from? Did you post on your own social media or?
Yeah, I've only had Instagram for a year. I never had it before. It was just Facebook. But I think
why you decided to open it? Just for the podcast?
No, I got Instagram when I started doing stand-up comedy, which was about a year ago. A few people in Bratislava, where I started doing it, in Slovakia, were like, "Look, no one's going to take you seriously if you don't have like a social media presence. Facebook is not good enough. Like you have to have reels and videos and followers for bookers basically around Europe. Like if someone owns a comedy club in Prague, they need to know who you are. Like they have to be able to see it. So I joined Instagram, I think June last year.
And did it work out well as you expected? Like for market, would you have done it without Instagram anyway?
No, you do need it. Yeah, it's addictive in a bad way, and it gives you a false sense of validation, I think. But I think everyone has gone through this like 5 years ago, and I'm only doing it now. So like, I have one video that has 1.5 million hits.
What? Get out.
Yeah.
Really?
And that's I'm amazing. That doesn't fucking
1.5.
matter. Can we swear on this podcast?
Can you do what? You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Just forget that we can't take it back after it's said. Whatever you want to say.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, and then I have another one at the moment that's trending, and it's about 130,000, but I only put it up 2 weeks ago or something, but it doesn't really matter.
What is the joke about? What do you say there?
Oh,
the 1.5 million.
It's not even funny. It's stupid.
It's funny how how these things get more successful than things that you think are funnier than that one.
Yeah, I think it's outrage culture. So like, if you tell something legitimately really funny, no one is going to react to it. They're going to laugh and move on. But if you say something that annoys people, then they'll react more to it.
So what do you talk about in that one?
It's like 6 seconds. It's like you can tell a lot about somebody from one sentence that they say. Anybody that says, I went to Dubai and I loved it, that person is that... And it just goes on like that. That's pretty much it. But
that's funny.
Okay, thank you.
That's funny. And the thing is that it's very relatable. Like, that's the thing. Maybe it's not the funniest joke on earth, but it's very relatable. And I guess everyone knows someone that is there and that they hate them, that is a bitch and is in Dubai. and they just share it with their friends. They look at this, and he's talking about Tanya and whatever. They know someone who's been there. And it's
Yeah, there was the comment section was just ridiculous. I got loads of messages being like, "You're ugly," and I'm like, "Fine, thank you, Mum. Get off the internet." But I got people just complaining about human rights and human rights abuses, and well, America abuses their human rights too. Just look at what they did in Iraq, and these huge threads with like hundreds of people, and I'm like, guys, I'm like drunk on my roof talking nonsense. Like, what the hell are you all doing? This is so stupid.
What are the threats about? What do they say?
People like, we don't want gay people like you in our city anyway.
What has that to do with it? How is that related to the joke?
I don't know. I think it's related to them having a bad day. Well, yeah, the comment section is it's fascinating, and that happened about 5 months after I joined Instagram, and I would be teaching because I'm a teacher, and my phone would literally not stop vibrating, and then I would be like, "You have 500 likes and 200 comments." It was really interesting. I never took any of it seriously. Like, it was interesting.
And you shouldn't take them seriously.
Except when people commented on my nose because I don't like my nose.
What's wrong about your nose?
I just don't think it fits my face. I think it's a bit too big. But so someone wrote, "You have a big nose," and I was like, "Oh, that's ruined my day."
Someone said that, trying to hurt your feelings?
Yeah. Multiple people are like, I can tell a lot because the video starts like you can tell a lot about one person from what they say, and someone's like, "I can tell a lot by just looking at you. You're a complete loser." And you're reading this on the way to work going, "Oh, that's a lot."
But I wonder what they can tell about you just by looking at you.
I don't know.
You were talking in the video? It was you talking?
Yeah, I'm sitting on a rooftop, like holding a pint of beer, just in Bratislava. Most of my videos are like that. They're all kind of the same.
So it was completely spontaneous. You just had that thought, you put it there.
Yeah, I went. My friend has a really cool rooftop, and I thought this would be a cool place to make videos, and went up there and recorded some stupid videos. Like, I have one that I don't think life coaching is a job. But then I put that up, and then some people who are my friends are like, "I'm a life coach."
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I still don't think it's a job. Just complete nonsense. But yeah, Instagram has been interesting.
But what is this life coach anyway? Like, that's 29-year-old being a life coach?
Well, my thing about life coaches, I don't want to slag them off even more on the podcast, is I don't like the idea of being like not being qualified, but just feeling like you have your shit sorted out more than somebody else. That kind of pissed me off because it's like...
what makes you better than me?
Yes, and if it's academic, you're like, okay, fair enough, because that's medical. But otherwise, I don't like the therapists or counselors. They have to study for years.
If it's a medical coach, all right, makes sense. You studied 15 years and you can come and teach me something. Life coach?
Yeah, I went to like a career guidance person. Now, we have career guidance in school, obviously, but this was when I was like 30. I used to have my own language school, and the Irish Enterprise Board of Ireland, whatever, that's not what they're called. Irish Enterprise Board of Ireland, that's not what they're called.
Yeah.
But they gave me this free coach, this free person that I could go to and get advice, and it was shite.
Well, like the...
Things included like, have you considered making your own website because the internet is a great way to reach people? And I was like, are you really? Are you fucking joking? Like, I live on a farm. If I don't have the internet, I'm just going to like yell at cows like around me. Like, I'm aware of that. Who's paying you? Yeah, but it's not to attack. I don't want to get in trouble in this podcast. I'm going to get in trouble for being a bitch. What else can I slag up?
You're not in Dubai. You're not in Dubai.
Yay, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is all good. Have you interviewed lots of comedians?
Not lots of them, like 2 others.
Okay.
Here in Vienna, yes.
Okay.
There's, maybe you know them. Gus was here, you know, right, from the last stand-up. We were there together. And Reginald Berries was here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about a year ago.
Okay.
Great guys, both of them.
Yeah, we're
very funny.
We're all great and funny, but we're weird. It's a weird job.
Yeah,
you have to be. I feel like of all the artistic people, we're I don't know, we're like the outsiders, because I'm new. I've only been doing it for like a year.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends are writers, and writers have this bond with each other. Like, and I worked in theatre for years, and actors have this actors intimidate me though. I used to write theatre, but I would never direct theatre.
You were a playwright?
Yeah.
Really? What did you write?
Loads of shite. All kinds of crap. Mostly comedies, but I have a big show here in November with classical musicians. It's called
You have written or you're performing?
Both. Yeah.
When is that?
When is it? Shit. When is it?
That's your show, man.
Yeah. It's the 2nd of November, and it's called My Grandfather.
2nd of November, that's my birthday.
It is.
I'll most probably be there.
I'll get you a ticket. You can have a ticket for free. It's called My Grandfather's Cabin. It's really beautiful. It's like with classical music.
Yeah.
And like, it's not really a theatre play. It's more like storytelling with classical music. And a friend of mine composed all the music, which is really beautiful. The music is like amazing.
Where is playing?
In Vienna.
Yeah, but which theater?
I don't know.
You don't know. That's why you wanted to get away with in Vienna. Hoping I wouldn't ask for the theater.
I'm like, just walk around and you're
But is it in English?
Yeah, it's in English.
Maybe in the English theater. There's one in the 8th district.
Okay.
It's probably, maybe. That's what I'm thinking, but that's your show.
It is, yeah. I'm not the promoter. I don't know. We'll include a link.
Yes, definitely. Whatever you want.
Thank you, listeners, if you just look at the link. Yeah, so, but yeah, we're not, but I think there's this really strong bond, and with comedy, I don't get it so much. I think we're all kind of like our own individual islands, like kind of by ourselves. I don't think I did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year, and yeah.
Is it a stand-up comedy festival?
It's the biggest comedy festival in the world.
Edinburgh Festival.
Yeah. So for the entire month of August, the whole city, and I really do mean the whole city, just transforms into this arts festival.
Wow.
It's fringe theatre and comedy. So just all kinds of like art, the street performers, like it's the biggest one of its kind in the world. So like if you were doing a stand-up comedy show, there's probably 50 other shows happening at exactly the same time. I did one day, my first show was at 10 in the morning. Everyone was drinking beer and just came in.
Well, it's Scotland. What do you
It's Scotland. Most of this one was, the show was like featuring Irish comedians. So there were loads of Irish tourists and so much fun. And then on the same day, I did 5 shows and the last one was at 1 a.m. So it was like a full day.
Yeah. It's exhausting. But still fun?
Really good fun. But yeah, really good fun. But comedians were weird. I feel like any time I meet a comedian and I talk about comedy, I'm looking at a mirror.
Yeah.
That's kind of showing me a mirror with bad lighting. It's showing me all the bad things about myself.
Well, sort of, I would say that you just started stand-up comedy a year ago, but not really comedy, right? You were writing comedy before. Your play is a comedy.
That one
you were into comedy before this, right?
Yeah, I just hated being on the stage. It terrified me. When I finished, I did writing at university and my final project was a performance. And I remember vomiting like really, really badly before it. And even after, like for days before it. And then just being like, this is not for me. This isn't the right lifestyle. This is terrible. Like I'm going to give myself a heart attack. That was when I was 21, 22. And then I stayed doing artistic stuff like writing, blogging, podcasting, but never anything that involved a microphone and a stage. It just terrified me. And then I just started doing it last year. I don't know why though.
Well, you did. When I saw it on stage that past Saturday, I guess, a week ago or something, you didn't seem like a guy who started a week ago. You weren't scared of the crowd at all. You were just completely free. You were talking there. And you didn't seem like you started last year.
No.
Oh, you did. You seemed like you had at least 5 years of experience. That's what I was expecting you to tell me today.
No.
Like you started this 5 years ago, at least.
No, the first time I ever took a microphone and did stand-up was June last year.
Wow.
But I did a solo show on my own in September last year. And then, this summer was amazing. I've done solo shows in France and Turkey. So it's gone really quick. I hope I can keep up the momentum. But I guess it's something I'm I don't feel like I'm learning how to do it. I feel like I probably should have always done it, but I just get very nervous.
I don't think there's a way to learn how to do it. The way I see it, when you're on stage and when I met you off stage, you're the same person. So that's what makes it, I guess, easier for you to talk to the public. So you basically just release yourself from fear of talking in public rather than learn how to perform in front of other people. You're anyway yourself. You're that funny guy. Those are your stories, and those are the same type of stories that you're told me after, and the same stories that you're telling me now.
Yeah. There's types of comedy, I guess. Some people, I think, do adopt a persona, and some people are. One thing I think about comedians that's quite weird is a lot of them are shy off stage.
Yeah.
You know, they can be very quiet.
It's weird.
I find it really weird. But life is full of weird stuff. A lot of them are quite shy, and off stage, it's a very different energy than they give. I don't. I'm glad you. I think on stage and off stage, I'm the same person. And I thought all comedians would be like that, but they're not. There is a on-stage persona, I think. And I understand why. It can be maybe exhausting to be like that all the time.
Yeah, it depends on how many times per week you do it, and then some just have it as a job. It's just like going to work. You just jump on stage, you're another person, and then you go off stage, you're just a person walking home, finish his job, that's it.
Yeah.
And maybe it will happen to many comedians after some years. If you do it for 20 years, maybe it will be different. Because now you just started, you're still on the vibe of it. You're 100% fresh, and you're 100% free. And I hope it stays like that for as long as possible.
I'm going to keep doing it until it stops being fun. And I can see in Edinburgh, I saw a lot of comedians where I didn't really understand why they were doing it. It didn't seem like they were having any fun. And I think if you're not having fun, not all day, every day, but I think I'm going to keep doing it as long as it remains fun. If I make a success of it, cool.
Well, what happens if you turn it into a full-time job and then you start not enjoying it anymore? You can't quit because it's your full-time job.
You can quit your full-time job.
You can, but then you'll have to go back in doing something else that wasn't bringing you as much joy as doing stand-up comedy.
This is true. In my case, most of my income comes from teaching.
What do you teach?
English.
You're going to teach that here in Vienna as well?
Well, I'm moving here, but I work in Bratislava, but I'm going to continue to work in Bratislava.
So now you're not moving from Ireland, you're moving from Bratislava?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'll be there.
Bratislava, 2 years.
Okay. How do you find that? How is it over there?
How did I find it physically?
Google Maps.
Ryanair brought me directly to where I needed to go. It's a really interesting city to live in, especially now. It's radically changing. I think, Bratislava is fascinating because cities like Vienna or London or Paris, they've already been like the center of their own worlds for a very long time. They're imperial, they're very big. Bratislava's only been a capital city since like 1993. They only joined the EU like a little more than a decade ago. So the change is happening really like they've only kind of really been in charge of themselves as a city. So it's interesting, like for sure. Like skyscrapers are just popping up everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, it's exploding in a way, like Japan.
I don't know how. I know how is that, because a lot of people associate skyscrapers with countries being developed or under development. But I don't think that skyscrapers really. It's just like the easiest thing to consider a country being developed if they have tall new buildings. But that doesn't mean necessarily the country is developed, because then maybe the infrastructure is not at the point still, and other things might not be working well. Maybe the salaries are low. I don't like when they associate and they see a country they say a lot of, like that for Albania. They go to the capital, to Tirana, and say, a lot of new buildings there. The country is being is developing so fast. Well, there's no public transportation yet. There are no trains at all. There are no trams. There are just some old buses. And it's there. Google Maps doesn't show you what bus to take. So that's what I would consider development, like fixing the infrastructure rather than just going high up in the sky
Yeah, no, it's a very superficial way of looking at something. I guess it probably means though that like it's changing and there is money there. Now, is it changing for the better? Is the money being spent correctly? I don't know. I don't know about that, but it is interesting. But I would prefer to live in Vienna and commute. Vienna's just a little bit more, suits me a bit better, a bit more worldly.
Well, why you moved here? Or why are you moving? Because you're currently moving, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you're not 100% settled here.
No, I will be. There's more work for me here, artistically, culturally. There's just more work. There is more there's a bigger comedy scene, theatre, art. It's much better here.
What is your concrete plan? How are you going to pay your bills?
I don't know.
That's a tough question.
How am I going to pay? I'm going to keep my job in Bratislava.
Okay.
That's my plan. And just move here. Things will be a little bit more expensive.
It's close anyway. It's not that far.
No, it's not that far. Although someone got their suitcase stuck on the bus today and they ran after the bus and the bus had to circle around and go back and give them their suitcase because they left their suitcase on the bus. And I just thought, if I'm on my way to work and this happens, I'm going to like throw the suitcase at the person if they make me late. Because the train is an hour and the bus is supposed to be an hour and 20. It was like 2 hours today just because of traffic and nonsense and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how easy it will be to go back and forth. But yeah, I'll probably keep making money by teaching, but this will be my last year of teaching. I'll finish in June and then I'll do comedy full time.
That's your goal?
That is my plan. Yeah. I'm going to go to the States for a couple of months in the summer.
Where?
I'm going to go all around really, but at the moment I know people who run clubs in New York, LA, Phoenix, Miami,
Atlanta.
Yeah, just kind of wander around for basically what I did in Edinburgh and just see what happens.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Well, that's the place.
It's very like young starlet arriving with their suitcase and a bag of drinks, except I'm like 36.
And you're not taking the ship.
Yeah, I'm not like an Irish immigrant. Yeah. I'm going by aeroplane. But I guess I'll probably do that and see how it works.
Well, it sounds like a good plan. And since you already have a few places you want to perform, what is your hope there to be constant and to be fixed in those places? Or you're hoping to get to know more people so you can circulate more in the US? Or just at first you just want to make a name for yourself, or you want to make a salary for yourself? I mean, I know both are ideal.
Yeah. I'm not super bothered about like a massive salary. I would like a name. Like I'd like lots of people to hear my jokes and laugh. I think that would be kind of cool. And the internet is a great way to do that, but it's not. I think we place too much of an importance on it. Yeah, performing is amazing, and I do like performing for Americans and for British. Like on Saturday, I made jokes about performing in Vienna, that it's harder to perform here than it is to perform.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is a little bit true. There's not a language barrier, but I think American audiences, Irish audiences, stand-up comedy to me, maybe people who are listening might say this is wrong, but I think it's inherently an Anglo thing. It's mostly comes from Anglo-speaking country, like English-speaking countries is where it's at its biggest peak. The way, for example, classical music is not massive in Ireland. We have classical musicians, we have an orchestra, they're incredible, they're really talented. Culturally, we're a little bit more in tune to folk music. So in that way, I think, stand-up, like, if you wanted to be successful in it, I think you have to be in the UK or the US or Ireland. You have to kind of be in
an English-speaking country.
Kind of, yeah. And I thought it would be harder to perform there, but it's not. It's much easier.
But then after saying this, it's weird that you moved from... Well, where did you live in Ireland?
I lived in Dublin.
You left Dublin, you didn't go to London, but you went to Bratislava, and now you're coming to Vienna, and you're proving that an English-speaking country is the best to do stand-up comedy. That's very controversial. Now I'm confused.
Yeah, no, I'm confused too.
That's why I'm here. I'm confused.
Well, I had no stand-up comedy intentions a year ago. So I've been a teacher for 15 years, but I teach foreigners. I don't teach native English speakers. So I worked in a university for years in Dublin. The pandemic hit. The university closed. I lost my apartment. I lost my job. Moved in with my parents. My mum got cancer. My dad's a diabetic. It was just the three of us.
Now,
So much fun.
no. How did you become a comedian?
If you meet my parents,
After all this story.
if you meet my parents, you will know how I became a comedian. It's so obvious. Anyone who's like, "How did you become a comedian?" Like, have you met my family? Have you met them?
Why is that?
They're so funny.
Yeah?
Oh, they're unbelievably funny. All Irish people are hilarious, though, in general. But my parents are really funny. They're just absolutely hilarious. They crack me up so much, even when they don't mean to be. Like, even when things are incredibly depressing, it is just very amusing. Then I got a really good job teaching English in Bratislava, and it was a better paid job than what I had in Ireland, and the cost of living is way cheaper. So I moved out there, and I got really bored in the first year, and then in the second year I started doing stand-up comedy, and here we are.
Was there, as you're saying, also your family is funny, and apparently it's an inherited thing that you're all funny. Was there a person or a situation, or mainly a person told, "Hey, this guy, you are funny, you should do stand-up comedy"?
Everybody.
Before you did stand-up comedy?
Yeah, that sounds super arrogant, but yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's the truth?
Yeah, people have been telling me for years.
Yeah?
That, yeah. At university, I was the funniest person in the classroom. Like, there were stand-up comics that constantly asked me to perform with them. My whole family have told me, "You should be on the radio, you should be on TV, you're really funny." Yeah, for years. People have been saying that.
How did your students feel about it? We were, at least me, I never had a funny teacher.
I think most of them think I'm funny, except when they don't do what I ask. I can be a proper dickhead.
Well, yeah, how is it to maintain your reputation if you're funny all the time, even with them? And wouldn't they start like joking around and not taking things seriously?
Yeah, they do.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes some of them do. Most of them are smart to know where the line is, but ultimately my job is to get them proficient in a language. So if they're listening to me in English and I'm making jokes and they're laughing, then they can understand what I'm saying. And if they ask questions back, then they're interested. So that's half my game done. We do have to do the boring stuff like grammar, spelling, prepositions, but I can navigate around it pretty easily. But they want to listen, like, so they enjoy asking me what I did for my weekend. I've normally done something quite stupid. So like they enjoy the stories. Like a summertime, a jellyfish stung me in my ass because I went skinny dipping in France. Now, I left out some of those details for this. I didn't explain, like, we smoked a ton of weed and got super baked. And we all went like naked swimming, in the moonlight. It was brilliant. I left that part out. I just said, I got stung in my ass by a jellyfish, which they think is absolutely hilarious. And then what happened? So yeah, if I'm entertaining them, they're paying attention. So it's fine.
Yeah, I wish my German teacher was like that. They would have made German much easier to learn.
Do you speak German?
Now, yes, I had to, because I'm studying in German.
Okay.
I had no way out. I had to learn German before starting university.
Okay.
But I really admire you guys that you didn't have to learn German to make a living in Austria.
No, and I don't want to learn it. People
find it difficult?
Yeah, but that's not why. I speak 4 languages. But I'm done. I speak English, Irish, French, and Spanish.
Irish, like old Irish language? That's what you call Irish?
Yeah, we have to learn it in school. It's obligatory. You have to do it every day in school. So I can speak English, Time Abalta Barla Large. It's a totally different language.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have to learn that in school. And then I speak Spanish and French, although I kind of forget a little bit of my French.
Do you have another, is your name different in the Irish language?
Very similar. So it's Shane Callaghan, and then it kind of translates into Sean O'Callaghan.
Oh, yeah. God. Last time I saw something related to the old Irish. Do you call old Irish language or just Irish?
No, just Irish.
Just Irish, because on TV and things like this, it's more like old Irish language. But right now, they don't speak that language anymore, right?
Yeah, they do. They do. It's actually getting better. When I was young, it was quite bad. I think they say it's around 12% of the country, I think. I'm not sure if that's true. But yeah, there are regions in Ireland where if you want to buy a house or build a house, you have to speak Irish. They're like protected kind of areas, more in the west than in the east. But yeah, there are people. If you go to Ireland, everything is in dual language. Like the train, the next stop on Station Ella, like everything.
What was that?
The next stop.
And how did you say that?
On Station Ella.
On Station Ella?
Yeah, it's station, Ella, like the next one.
So it's more like an accent thing, or it really...
No, it's a totally different language. Yeah, it's completely different.
I saw this movie and I had to watch it like 6 times because I did a paper on that, the Banshees of Inisherin. I don't know if you watched that.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? No. You're Irish and you haven't seen that?
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry, but like, what you tell me, is it good?
I've seen it 6 times and I did a paper on it. That's how good it is.
Oh, you really did? Okay, he's a great writer, Martin McDonagh. Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
But I just saw the poster and thought, oh, that looks really depressing.
It's well, I don't know if I can call it a comedy. It is very funny. It is very funny movie, but it also gets too dramatic at some point, but it's differently dramatic. It's not... You should watch it.
I will. It's on the list. Sometimes you like a little bit of escapism, and I feel like that would be not escapism. Yeah. It would be very real.
That's what I wanted to ask you, how authentic it is.
Okay.
But I read a lot of Irish comments, and they say that it's very authentic. Because also Martin was born in Ireland, and he grew up there. He moved to London when he was like 18 or something for university. No, he moved a bit earlier. But he used to go during summer breaks in Ireland, and he said, I used to go to my grandparents, and that's how he learned the Irish culture. And they say that it's very authentic.
Okay. I will have to check it out and see. I don't know, but yeah, the cast is really. It's Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson. I don't think they'd make crap.
No,
like there.
If you watch In Bruges.
That's the same writer, isn't it? But my favorite thing he did was 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
That's great.
Man, I love that movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good. He's a great writer.
He's also done 7 Psychopaths. I don't know if you watched that.
I know it.
It's again with Colin Farrell.
Yeah, I have a list of... this is the thing. Comedy and teaching, they're both so people-intensive jobs. They're so intensive with people that sometimes when I go home, I don't want to watch something where I don't know the plot. That makes me sound really stupid, but I've become very accustomed to watching the same series again because
Why do you watch over and over again?
No, I'm watching with Sex and the City. I'm gay, obviously, so I love that one. That one's great. Like there's a one on Netflix called Superstore. It's just a sitcom where everyone is in like a big Walmart. I love it. It's like my comfort.
They work there. It's like the sort of The Office, but with Walmart.
Yeah, I love The Office as well. The American one, not the British one. The British one just cuts to the bone. It's brilliant. But yeah, all these quite simple, easy ones. Although I'm watching one at the moment that's about the crack cocaine epidemic in the 80s. That's quite heavy, but it's very good.
Can you say the name of
Snowfall?
I know, that's not the one I was thinking of.
Which one are you thinking of?
I forgot. There's a new one that just came up that talks about heroin, but I thought it was the same. Not the same drug.
I know painkillers.
Painkillers, yes.
That is. Oh my god, I could talk about hours for that.
I watched that one.
Yeah,
is it good?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is good. The Disney Plus have a TV series called Dope Sick, which is based on a true story, and that's dealing with the same thing. That's better. That's incredible.
With the same case or the same topic?
The same topic, which is the Sackler family who made OxyContin and became well, they were very wealthy, but they became like billionaires and they're philanthropists of art, and how this drug sort of wrecked communities in America. And it's if you do not know the story about how it happened, Dope Sick is the best one. I'd focus on it. I think Painkillers came out. Netflix basically said, let's make something similar because this story's good. And yeah, I fell down a rabbit hole, man. I started reading books about it. I started watching loads of documentaries. It's crazy. It makes you understand anti-vax people very well. If I lived in a small, like, white mining town in America and I didn't know anything about pharmacy or stuff, I just worked in a mine and the doctors all prescribed me a drug that they knew was bad and half of my town was addicted to heroin. I don't think I'd take the vaccine either. Yeah. Like, it just shows you different people's perspectives. It's really good.
That's the one you have watched many times, or no?
No, that's what I just watched one, but it was good. But now I've moved on to the crack cocaine epidemic and the crisis in the 80s in LA, because I've just become obsessed with this idea of like drugs and the history of drugs and how they impact you. I don't know. It's just I never knew anything about it. It's like the modern war, basically. It's like it's just history, I think.
They say that LA has become very, very bad. Like, people are just laying on the floor. There's a lot of cocaine addicts or heroin addicts. I've never been there, but that's what they say.
I was there.
From there? You were there?
Yeah, I didn't.
How true is it?
This TV series is more set in the 80s. There are 3 cities I've been to in my life that I absolutely despised. No offense to anyone listening. I hated LA. I hated Frankfurt in Germany. And I hated Podgorica in
Montenegro.
In Montenegro. That's
where I'm going next week.
For what?
To take the airplane to Albania, because it's next to Albania.
Ah, okay.
The flight was cheaper from there, but it's the same distance from the other airport in Albania. So,
okay, yeah, got such a shithole.
Well, it's a small city in a small country in the Balkans.
I wouldn't call it a city. The cities have to have some form of identity.
It's a big countryside.
It's just someone decided to glue a load of buildings together. It has no soul whatsoever. And Montenegro has beautiful places. Like, really, like, it's a lovely country. But it's just, oh no, I hated it. I hated LA. I just couldn't. I remember thinking, like, where's the like the center bit? Like, where's the square? Where's the middle bit? And it took a bus tour around it. And Hollywood is really run down, like, but people warned me about that. Yeah, it's a really run down place, and just this is a really bad thing for America. People are rude, which to say that in America is because their customer service is like the best thing in the world.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I found in LA they're really rude, and I smoke, and I went into a shop, was it Trader Joe's or something, and I asked for cigarettes, and they're like, no.
What?
Like, get out. Yeah, smoking cigarettes is like the worst thing that you could possibly do. They think it's disgusting.
Which is because they do drugs and it's like out of date to smoke, really.
I guess, yeah, but I couldn't find anything redeeming about it. I didn't think it was pretty. I didn't think it. I thought it was expensive. I don't really know what people do there. Like, one of the main things to do is to get a car and just go around and look at celebrities' houses. Like, look at these people; they're living better than you.
Look how rich they are.
Yeah, look how poor you are. Like, it just was like, this is crap.
We're gonna put that maybe in silent, because it might reflect on the microphone. Oil back, yeah, that's all right. Because the vibration sometimes comes out very bad in that.
So I'm guessing, do you cut and edit and move all this stuff apart, or
no? That's fine. It's all right. I would like people just to feel like they're sitting next to us, listening. Yeah. So if we're having a conversation and there's a third person here, we don't just cut. He's there, and he's gonna be like, or she's gonna be like, wait, what happened now? There's something missing here that I didn't catch.
The podcast was really interesting until he started scrolling on his phone for 20 minutes and then it got concluded. Yeah, it was quite odd.
But you want to move back to the US now, but you don't want to go to LA anymore. Isn't that one of the places to do stand-up comedy?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing comedy there. And again, like, I think cities are like people. You see them on an off day, you might not like them, and if you meet them again, you might like them. So, you know, they have evolving personalities. I'd happily go back, but I think I would have to go with someone that knows it. It was not what I was expecting, and I had a really shit time. But I would go back. I mean, it's like, what, 10 million people? I'm sure someone there is not an asshole.
Yeah.
I
Most probably.
Yeah, I would go back. It was also, we left San Francisco to go there. Myself and my family were thinking, God, we should have just stayed in San Francisco. It's much more fun. But no, I'd go back to do comedy. I don't know if I'd live there. Although if I was earning a lot of money, I would probably live there. I think it seems like it could be a cool place if you're wealthy, but very unforgiving if you're not wealthy.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's the US in general.
Maybe, yeah. So
much different from Europe. Like here, you're almost the same. At least they won't look at you differently if you're not as rich as they are. Or maybe I've never been watched by a rich person differently.
Okay.
Or maybe I've never met that many rich people in my life. Like that rich, like Hollywood rich that you were talking about.
I have some very wealthy friends that live in France, and I never feel uncomfortable around them. I was
because they are your friends.
Yeah, but money can be a massive barrier to things. But no, it was it's never really.
It depends on how they make the money. First of all, if they inherit it, most probably they will be motherfuckers. So in the world in general, if they didn't earn it themselves, if they didn't work for it, chances are that they didn't learn how to behave properly with all that money. If they made the money themselves, like they worked hard, they started a business or the other things, chances are they will remember where they're coming from. So they won't be disrespectful to people who are not as rich as they are.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe it's less probably about money, more about like work ethic or something. Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. I can't get out of my head that you're going to Podgorica next week. I think this.
You going to Puerto Rico?
No, you're going to Podgorica.
Podgorica, yeah.
Have you been there before?
Yeah, a couple of times, but just to take the plane.
Okay.
It's like more like a transit, like straight to the airport from Albania, straight to the airport there.
But surely Tirana is a nicer city, or at least has more going on.
It is, yeah. It is definitely a nicer city, and I think it's also a much bigger city than Podgorica. So, yeah.
Then have you been to Frankfurt?
No.
Oh my God!
But they say that that's one of the cities that they say that is being developed so fast, so quick, so big. It's become the hub of business in Europe.
Yeah,
all that.
Well, that's kind of why I was a bit harder on that city than ever, because I thought, listen, you have money, and what do you do? And I went to see Beyonce. That was incredible, obviously, but like she doesn't live there. And then the second day, I remember I was in an Uber asking the guy, like, what do you do here? Like, there's a million people. Like, what do you? There's so much money. It's the largest density of millionaires on
Frankfurt.
Yeah, in Europe, outside of London. Yeah, more than Paris or like Geneva. And the Uber driver legit, I thought this was a language barrier. He was like, I love going to the train station. And I said, oh, why? Like, is there a bouncing castle there or something? Like, what's great about the train station? And he's like, it's just so interesting to watch the trains coming and going.
What?
I thought, so the number one thing that you recommend people to do in your city is to watch people leaving it. Like, wow. It just had no, like, it's for like the economic hub of the biggest economy in Europe was expecting there to be something to do. And even we did a boat cruise. If the Frankfurt tourism board is listening to this, I take nothing back. Like I will not apologize. We did a boat cruise, and they were like, on your left is our city park, which contains a wide variety of trees. And then it pauses, and we all burst out laughing, which is very interesting. And you're like, no, I'll tell you if it's interesting. Don't tell me on this shitty audio guide.
Man, I love these guys that say this thing is very interesting. No, you just say what it is, and we decide if it's interesting.
Yeah, and this is one of the most.
This thing is very beautiful. Well, it depends. Let's talk about it.
Have you met me? I'm beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But yeah, another thing was like, oh, this is one of the most important museums in the world. Like, why? I've never heard of it. Yeah. I'm not dumb. What's in it? What does it have? Like Wi-Fi? Like, what's in it? I don't know. Like, yeah, it was just. It wasn't. It was quite boring.
Yeah.
And like I say, it was quite boring. I went to see Beyonce, and I still think it's boring.
Yeah.
So yeah.
She's boring in Frankfurt.
No. The show was an absolute masterpiece. The city was. She shouldn't have played there. They didn't deserve her. It was just she should have played.
Was it a big stadium?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, it's like 70,000 people or something. I cried. Wow. I had like a super gay moment. It was like, oh, it was brilliant. So good.
Well, what was the thing that you said that you lived in a farm? You grew up there?
Yeah,
What difference does it make in Ireland if you grow up in a farm or if you grow up in a city?
Well, when I was younger, it wasn't cool.
Okay.
And now it is, I think. It became cool. I don't know when that happened. It certainly wasn't anything I did. But yeah,
I left.
I left it. Yeah, I grew up on a farm. It's my dad's farm, and it was his dad's farm. It was just vegetables when my dad was running it. It was just vegetable animals. At that time, no. We did briefly have chickens and ducks, and I think many, many years ago before I was born, there were other animals. But no, when I was a kid, it was just primarily vegetables. And yeah, it was quite lonely because, there was no internet and no like mobile phones, and we live on a main road, so you couldn't really walk anywhere.
Oh.
So it was a little bit lonely.
Those places you just need a car to go anywhere, right?
Yeah, like the car, it's like a 5-6 minute drive to the shop if you want to get a bar of chocolate. But if you walk that, it's like 2 hours, like on a main road. So that never happened. But looking back on it, it was quite nice. It was quite wholesome, but it was a little bit lonely, I think. Yeah, even though I have 2 older sisters, I have a younger sister and a younger brother, 5. 5 people.
Where do they live? Where do they live? They still live there? Or?
Everyone lives in Ireland. Yeah, some of them had brief periods of living in other countries like Paris, but other countries like Paris, dear God, like France. Paris is in France. But no, they all live in Ireland now. Yeah. I'm the only one that lives away.
How do they feel about it? I mean, that now that things have changed in the countryside after you left, or is there more things to do, or is it more entertaining, or what do they love about living there?
They don't live in it. So my brother lives in suburban Dublin, and my sister kind of lives in suburban Dublin too. Like, they're older now, they all have cars, and like my younger brother and sister, there's a 6-year age gap between my sister and I, and I think there's an 8 or 9 year gap between my younger brother. They were raised really differently from us, from my 2 older sisters. They're just the generation gap is different. You know, all this like millennial, Gen Z, boomer, all this stuff. I think all that's a load of shit. The one thing I think is, did you have a mobile phone when you went to school? And if the answer is yes, I have more in common with ancient Egyptians than I do with someone that went to school with a phone. Well, not so much a phone, like social media. If you went to school with Facebook on your phone, we grew up in entirely different worlds, completely different worlds.
But that's a matter of generation rather than where do you live, I guess. I also grew up without social media. I went to school without social media, and I'm 30.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much in the same generation, I would say. And social media really took off in 2000. I mean, Facebook started in 2006, took a couple of years to really become global in 2008. By 2008, I was already almost done with high school. And so we didn't go to you as well, right?
I went to university in London, and I think Cambridge. I didn't go to Cambridge. I'm not that smart. But I remember Cambridge, I think, got it in 2000. I had Facebook in 2007. I think Cambridge University. I think if you watch the movie The Social Network, it shows like after Harvard or wherever he developed it, London was the next place where it really took off. So I remember I had Facebook, and I went home to Ireland for Christmas, and everybody still had Bebo. No one had Facebook
or High Five.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know that one.
You don't know that one, but you heard about it?
No. High Five.
It was a social. Well, not the concept of social media that there is now, but you could chat with people. There was
like bees.
I don't know bees.
No, was the theme like a hive?
I don't remember. I think it was just the logo was a chat cloud, like a message cloud, and you could just talk to people. You could only read a short bio of these people, and there was no news feed. There was no long profile, no walls to write to people. There was just chatting. Mainly, it was just to flirt with people. It wasn't really a social media where you could post pictures of you. You only had a profile picture that couldn't zoom. It was just a small square there, and you had to fall in love with a person through that square.
Okay.
That little square there. That's what High Five was.
Okay. But so it was flirting rather than...
Yeah, mainly yes.
Okay.
Or at least, maybe it was me. I don't know. Maybe other people didn't use it for that. But me and my friends, we only use it for that.
Okay. But this was in Albania?
Yeah. But High Five was popular worldwide.
Okay.
I realized it later, I guess, when Facebook came in. People started making jokes how old High Five was.
Yeah.
And our generation started to be arrogant about later generations. Oh, you're a Facebook generation, we're a High Five generation. Like it's something great.
Okay. Well, Facebook, I think, stopped becoming cool when everyone's mom joined it.
Yeah.
Like then it just...
And commenting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And aunts and uncles talking about politics. And then it was a time that when someone was commenting somewhere, everyone would see that this guy commented here. You know, now, I guess you don't see that anymore, right?
I don't know. I still have the Messenger on my phone, and I do sometimes look at it for events and for groups, like if you're selling stuff. But I remember Facebook just getting really serious, really political. Everything on it was like, and then they put so much sponsored content on it that I was just like, this is just awful. And I think Instagram was kind of maybe why it took off, because it was just people on the beach and being happy and coffee and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it was like a...
was a happy place.
Diluted sense of escapism, probably. But I remember my mother, I don't think my parents are going to listen to this. I hope they don't. If they do, anyway. My mom, my sister went to university in Belgium, in Ghent. Like she did an Erasmus program. And my sister posted a picture that was in a group of expat Erasmus students in Ghent who had like 20,000 people on it, and my mum commented in the group that everyone could see. But I can't remember, something about like your bras have arrived, or like I'm sending you over a bra or something, and it was just like, oh my god, like just epic fail. That was like and then like 100 people liked it and commented on it before my sister found it. It was like, delete this. Like, yeah, it was very, very good. Yeah. See, this is just the stuff that happens at home, and you know, my mum was like, well, I just wanted her to know that her bras were about. I just see what the big deal is.
I had a friend who lives in London. He's also from Albania, my best friend from childhood. His name is Vasse, shout out, by the way, because he's the biggest fan of the podcast.
Oh, okay, hello.
And when his mom first went on Facebook, like started an account there, and my friend was living in another city, was living in the city where I was living, in Tirana, and our parents were all back home in Southside. So his mom starts an account and tells my friend's sister that was still living with the parents, says, yeah, I got my Facebook account, now show me Vas's messages.
Show me my own messages.
Yeah. No, she was expecting to read her son's messages through her account. Like she only expected, I have a Facebook account now, I can read everyone's messages. And that's the funniest story I know about Facebook.
It's a little thing called data protection there.
Yeah,
that's not how that works. I own a house. They give me the keys to everyone else's house.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
That's weird. That's not how that works. No. So how long have you lived here then?
A couple of years. I moved here in the middle of pandemic. It was a hard time with the immigration department, and even physically traveling here was almost impossible.
Oh, because you're not EU.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I had to go through the process in the middle of pandemic. They sent me back a couple of times saying you have to go there and wait for the resident permits. You can wait here. You can't come to the office. They weren't answering my phone. And it was even funnier because I couldn't speak any German at that time, and they wouldn't agree speaking English to me. And things just got like, I didn't know how to communicate with them anymore. And the funniest thing ever was that the immigration officers that got my documents and application was Albanian, and they are allowed to speak to the foreign language that the applicant is talking, to make things easier. And not just that, but she not just refused to talk to me in Albanian, but she also refused to talk to me in English. She said, you got to speak German. Well, you can clearly see that I'm applying to study German now.
She was from your country?
Yeah.
That's not uncommon in
small countries.
No, I used to work in Oman. I worked in Oman, and part of the paperwork and stuff that we knew, you had to do a medical test. And I remember going in, and I was the only white person in the hospital. All the medical staff, everybody was Indian, and then all the patients were all Indian as well. They just treated each other like shit. Yeah. I was treated like royalty when I walked in. Wow. I skipped the queue. Everybody was really nice. It was so uncomfortable. So I've never really experienced that before.
Because you were a white guy from outside?
Probably because I went in as part of a company, that the company has loads of money. I don't know. But I remember thinking Jesus, if I worked in this hospital and everybody in the crowd was Irish, I wouldn't be talking to them like this, because they're going to go home and say, well, the guy who works in the hospital is a dickhead, and that's going to get back to my parents. I think it's not uncommon. But I hate when they demand to... Oh, it's going to sound like a really stupid thing to say. I hate when they demand to speak German.
Yeah. But especially if they say that it's a first time application. Like, when did they learn German? I hate when they just can do something bad and they just do it. Like, they don't even try to make things smoother.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that a few months ago, I meet another Albanian here in Vienna, and he tells me how hard time he had when he first time applied. And I tell him, and he says to me, and the officer was Albanian. He says, tell me the name. And he told me the name. It was the same person in a distance of 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So which means that it wasn't just the pandemic or one situation. It's the person.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just
I don't get it.
No. Well, they had a hard time getting here, maybe.
Yes.
So you should have a hard time too. It's life is much easier for you people now than it was before. So I'm going to make your life difficult. I'm just going to show you exactly just how. Yeah. It's just so odd. It's just such an odd.
Balkan thing.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. All I know about Balkans is
Podgorica. That's one thing you know about Balkans.
That's one thing I know about Podgorica. Is that no? Oh my God! Borak.
Borat.
But no, not Borat. Isn't he from Kazakhstan?
He is, but I know he went to the Balkans.
Borak.
Burek.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I compare it in all the Balkan countries I go to. So far, Bosnia, I've never been to Albania, but so far Bosnia is in the clear lead for the best one.
It's good, yeah, it's good.
Everyone does it slightly differently.
Slightly differently.
Croatians do it like a giant pie that they cut slices out of.
That's what Albanians do as well.
Okay.
Mainly, at least at home, we do big, that's what, like you said, like pies, like big pies, and we just cut it into pieces, like triangles.
Okay.
But of course, on the shops, they also sell like small pieces already cut.
Yeah. Oh God, I love that. So spinach and cheese.
That's what got us through university in our first year. It's cheap. Burek is cheap. It keeps you long because it's dog. So
yeah. No, it works. It's great. But just your story makes me nervous about moving here. That like.
Funny. Well, trust me, you're having such more easier time because you have the EU thing. Yeah, it's easier for you to move here. You're avoiding so much stress.
Yeah, but I don't know why this is good. Do you have a lot of Austrian people that listen to this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to sound really bad, but like I live in Slovakia at the moment, and I don't really speak Slovak. I can glue stuff together if it's necessary, but it never really is. Like, if you're in Tesco and you need a bag or the machine is not working or something, you can just navigate everything in English.
Yeah.
Taxis, everything can kind of be done in English. And then I come to Vienna, and suddenly you can't do things in English. They're very insistent on speaking German, and I sort of think, hang on, you don't know that I don't live here. This city's massively dependent on tourism.
Exactly.
And also but I don't currently. But also, it's not a world language. That's kind of the way I would give a free pass, even though people say the French are like really awful and rude. I don't really think that they are. I think the French are hilarious. But when they are speaking French and they're not speaking English, I think they kind of think that they're both of equal importance in the world. They're not, but they don't know that. But at least French is a global language. You know, they can have lots of people from parts of the world that speak French.
Also, it's Latin, and it's very similar to Italian, very similar to Spanish, and chances that you get understanding are much higher than understanding German.
Yeah.
Unless you studied German.
But in Austria, I'm like, hang on, your education system is one of the best in the world. You're one of the richest countries in the world. Your language is not a world language. You should speak this better. Like in Portugal has considerably less money per head of population than Austria does. You go anywhere in Portugal, everyone speaks English. Like a 9-year-old boy directed me around the street, no bother. Like everyone speaks it. Spain, no, they're dreadful, but Spanish is a world language.
But also they are not, in Spain, they are not, no, you should speak Spanish. They maybe don't know English that much, but they are not pushing you to only speak Spanish. So they try to communicate with you with gestures and everything. They are not just talking to you Spanish and not smiling and expecting you to speak Spanish.
Yeah, I think they're probably a little bit like protective of their language in a way. But like the Netherlands, like everyone is completely fluent in English. They don't. Can you imagine going to Amsterdam and walking around asking for a coffee and people expecting you to speak Dutch if you're like a tour? Like it's just so stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, here I'm quite obnoxious though, and they're like, bitteschön, I'm like, hi, can I get this coffee please? And they're like, eins, go, yeah, one. Like I'm like, I am not giving in. You do not know that I don't live here. So, or you like, so I'm not giving in. I'm like, especially in, where was I? Oh, the Ofbahnhof at the train station, and it was like, can I get a coffee? And it was like, wait, she didn't have the milk thing set up, like the milk and the sugar thing. And I was like, milk? And she didn't know what milk was. And I was like, well, I don't know what it is in English. And I'm like, this is the international train station. It's a Saturday morning, like for feck's sake.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably sound super arrogant, like I want everybody to speak English. I don't. But in Europe, you cannot.
It depends on the location. If you're an international train station, if you're like in the city center, you have to speak a few words in a language. I mean, you got selling something. You want to sell this thing or no? What do you want? It's your shop.
I worked in a sushi restaurant in London when I was a student. I knew how to count to 10. I thought it was in Japanese. I got really excited because I showed my manager. I was like, see, I can do it. I can count to 10. I know Japanese. And then the manager was like, that's not Japanese, that's Cantonese. Everyone here is from Hong Kong. And I said, oh, is nobody Japanese? And they were like, no. But it was so funny because guests used to leave the restaurant and be like, arigato. And then the waitresses would be like, arigato. I'm like, you're all faking it. But I learned. I had to learn like the menu and stuff like that because some of the words are like Japanese. Yeah, I don't know. I probably, and also I think I'm a little bit English speaking people are so nice because they know that they're shit, that they only speak English. But I don't. I speak multiple languages. I'm a bit of a knob.
That's mainly people from the US, I'd say.
No, British people. But in Britain, in the UK, you do not need to do a foreign language at school.
Oh yeah?
So you do, but not for your like A levels or for your GCSEs. I don't think you need to. In Ireland, we have to do 3. So
sometimes it's now that you remind me, I have one of my colleagues. She's Austrian. When the phone rings at our office, we answer first in English. Like if someone is near the phone, we just answer in English because it's an international environment. And it's an international brand where we work, so first thing is in English. And my Austrian colleague picked up the phone once, and she said the name of the brand, and then she said, hello, how can I help you? And then the other person on the phone just started speaking fast German. And anyway, she was Austrian. She talked to the person in German, and when she hung up the phone, she said, I'm surprised how she just continued in German just like that. Like I answered in English. I said, how can I help you? And she didn't even say, can I speak in German? No, she just went in German, even though she's calling an international brand and environment. That's how far it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I do the opposite though. It makes me sound rude. I call restaurants in Slovakia and they're like, "Dobry, I'm like, hi, can I get a booking?" Which is equally as obnoxious.
But that makes sense. Because you were the one to go there and you needed that. And also in the phone call case, they were calling us. We didn't call them. So if they're calling us and we answer in English, what makes you think that we speak German, that you just start right in German?
Yeah, but it's probably just, I think the language thing is really, it's just very odd. Because like, there are countries that have considerable less resources than Austria, and their English is vastly superior. And I just don't think it should be attached to people thinking like, oh, that's because British people think that they're the center of the universe, or Americans think, like, it's just common sense. If an Indonesian is doing business with a Brazilian, they're probably speaking in English. If a Chinese person is doing business with someone from Senegal,
they're not speaking German,
probably in English. Like, you know, it's just, this is just the reality of it. Like, and it's fun.
Also, another reality is that at some point it needs to be acknowledged the fact that now there's a huge population of international people in Vienna. And they're not all of them have to learn German. They might live here only for 2 years, 3 years. They might work in an English-speaking environment all the time. They'll go to English-speaking schools. And it's not their goal to learn more than A2 level, just a few things. So now they have to acknowledge this. It's more than 34% of people living in Vienna are foreigners.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, 34%. Like, they have foreign citizenships. And there's 42% that have an immigration background. So people that moved here, but maybe now they have citizenship, you know? And it's almost half the population. It's almost 1 million people out of almost 2 million people, you know?
Mm.
And you can't just ignore it 100%. Like, Deutsch, ich kann nicht verstehen, sprichst du Deutsch? So,
I don't know what you just said.
I just just speak German. That's
okay. Yeah, I do know. But then you see, the weird thing is when I get like, I'm such a hypocrite because in Dublin I knew this guy who was from Venezuela, and he lived in Dublin for 3 years and spoke no English, and I just thought, what an idiot. Like, I just couldn't help but think like, Jesus, that's so dumb. He had a great time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but he had to go to English lessons. He didn't really know how to speak it. And I just thought, dude, this is such a brilliant opportunity for you. Like, you're living in a capital city of an English-speaking country, but also, how do you function not knowing English? Like, how do you do anything? And he did. He was perfectly able to do it. But I guess I wasn't annoyed by it. I was just more fascinated by, like, how can you just speak Spanish everywhere in Dublin and not speak English? How do you know what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's much more unusual the other way around. But I know in Slovakia, like, a lot of people have lived in Slovakia for years and don't know anything. And I do think that's bad. I think it is, like, if you live in a city for like several years, make an effort. Purely because I'm really political, and you can't take part if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, if you're working for Amazon and you're going to be in Vienna for 2 years, feck it, who gives a shit? But, you know, if you're going to have children, or buy a mortgage, you're going to be here for like 7 or 8 years. Definitely do it, because you can vote. You can vote for the mayor. You can vote for the president. You're not going to know what's going on.
You can't vote for the president unless you're a citizen, or for the chancellor.
Is it?
Yeah, you can vote for. I think for the. Not even. I'm not sure about this, and I'll double check this after. But you can vote for the district council. That's what you can vote for. And I'm not sure if you can vote for the mayor, but I think you can vote for the mayor.
Okay.
But you have to be like a permanent resident, I guess.
I could vote for the mayor in Bratislava.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Already?
I didn't. But I could, just because I didn't know anything about them. But I could have. I think one was pro-gay, one was anti-gay. You know, it's like, that does it for me. But I don't know why I didn't vote. I knew I was going to leave, and I think the mayoral term is 5 years. So I thought, okay, this isn't really something I should be voting on. It's not really my right to. But luckily, they elected the I don't know if he's pro-gay, but he's not a homophobe, basically, which is nice.
Well, maybe not yet, because they never are before they come to power.
No. Although, I don't know, if you followed Italian politics,
Not recently.
Your one is mad. Like, she was super homophobic in her election campaign. I don't think she's really been that bad since she's got into government.
In Italy, it's not even like a radical country.
Oh, she's super right-wing. The Italian, is it the Prime Minister or the President? She's super, super right-wing. At least her rhetoric is. Yeah, really. Yeah, the country's being polluted by foreigners. Yeah, I think she used the word polluted. You're
like a new Trump. Just out of nowhere.
I'm just imagining Trump speaking Italian.
Yeah.
Going like, that's fantastic.
It's pretty much like Berlusconi, ex-Prime Minister of Italy.
Yeah.
Who died.
I think she's worse. Like, I think Berlusconi. But this is the thing about Trump. Trump isn't right-wing. Trump's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think because if you're right-wing, like, you do actually have to stand beside an ideology and believe in, like, free market capitalism. And Trump doesn't, but he's just a dick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking, but he doesn't stand for anything.
But I guess then when you're doing the comments with your podcast in your elections in Ireland, you were left supporting the left wing, or
they were
just making fun of everyone?
Yeah, they're all. So we have a president and a prime minister because the president basically acts like an elected monarch, really, because we copied our political system from the British. So our prime minister functions, that we call him the Taoiseach, functions the same way as the prime minister of the UK, but then the president kind of functions a little bit like the king or the queen, that they sign all the bills, but they can't make the bills. And they're like the figurehead that goes abroad, but they're elected. So it's not like the president of the US. It's not a particularly serious election. It's more, who do you want to represent you? And our track record so far is so high. Like, it's ridiculously high of the people that we've had as president. Like, when I was a kid, you serve a 7-year term and you can do 2, so you can be for 14 years.
Yeah.
And the first woman we had, Mary Robinson, she is just an absolute badass. She sued the government, she's a barrister, sued the government to get contraception rights because we were a very Catholic country, we weren't allowed contraception. And then she sued the government again because there was an openly gay member of parliament, but it was still illegal to be gay. So she had that law changed.
Was that illegal?
It was illegal to be gay until 1992.
That's very recent. That's 30 years ago, pretty much.
Most countries are around that time. Like
illegal?
Yeah, it's a criminal act. Yeah,
I know that. I mean, I know that it wasn't welcomed back then.
No one celebrated it.
But that was illegal. There was a written in the Constitution.
It not in the Constitution, but it was a law. Yeah, it was like sort of indecency. In the US, it was illegal, I think, until the 70s. Britain was 1968. Yeah, I think it was taken off the list of medical illnesses, I think, in the 70s in America.
That's also what the movie Milk talks about, right? Is it the same period?
Yeah.
You watched the movie?
I did.
Yeah.
He's brilliant in it. I'm not brilliant on American history at that point, but I know it was around, I think it was the late 60s, I think, was when they decriminalized it and what's the word, like demedicalized it or something. Like, they said that it wasn't a mental illness because
so funny. Like, all right, now these guys are not sick.
I think it is a mental illness. I think it's great. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, it was such one. That's when also the flag was invented, or at least that's how they feel.
Pride, that happened. That, and then Stonewall, and the Stonewall was New York, and then Pride. Harvey Milk, I think, is San Francisco. Yeah, I'm not great on that.
Is it the same process for San Francisco? Yes.
The Harvey Milk is San Francisco.
Yeah.
He was the first elected, gay mayor. And then Pride is, the Pride parades, I think, happened after Stonewall, which was in New York. But I think the flag might have been around before that. And now we've changed the flag again, which I love the meaning behind the new flag, but I hate it.
New flag?
The new flag includes, it's got like a black and brown triangle in it to highlight, sort of, because in the 70s and stuff, a lot of the gay stuff, it was very, very white, and it pushed out a lot of other.
Oh, okay.
It also has.
Now it's more diverse.
Yeah. It also has the trans flag and because it's LGBT, and then like the intersex circle, which is all brilliant. It's all great. I just think the flag looks really ugly. There's too much going on. Just wait.
It's confusing. You have to look at it. What is this about?
Yeah, it's just it doesn't. I just don't think it looks like a good flag. I might get like so much hate for saying that. I agree with the idea.
You just need a lot of information to understand it.
It just visually just doesn't look good. If it was a painting, like it just doesn't look good.
Yeah,
I think they could have. I mean, we're gay. We know all about design. We could fix it. We should fix it and make it look better. It doesn't look great.
How do you feel about the environment here and how normally and obviously here the gay community complains? You find that that is a city that there are reasons to complain about that here, that they are being discriminating? No, you haven't felt that yet.
No, it's probably one of the best cities in the world.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, but there's always work to be done.
Yeah.
You know, to sort of feel like you can't take your eye off the ball. There's always stuff that needs to be done, things that need to get better. Particularly, I think, for trans people, I think they're having a very unique experience that's very different from, say, like a white man. I think they're having a much different experience. So within the LGBT umbrella, you might get some people going, yeah, it's great, and you might get other people going, no, it's terrible. Personally, no, I think Vienna is one of the best cities. I think it's great, better than Bratislava. Anyway,
you have any bad experience there?
I knew the guy that got shot in the terrorist attack last year. Yeah, that was very sad. But I didn't react very well to it, I don't think. Yeah, we had a...
What was the reason behind the shooting?
It was a 19-year-old kid who was from the countryside, I believe, and he just went into Bratislava and got a shotgun and just pointed it at a gay bar and just shot the first two people that came out. I knew one of the guys, but we had an argument. So when I heard that it happened, I messaged all the gay people I knew except him, which was pretty shit.
So I have nothing to do with it?
Huh?
You said I have nothing to do with it?
No, I was sort of like checking that everybody was okay. But yeah, that happened, and it pissed me off a lot because I just didn't think that everybody was as annoyed as they should have been. I felt a little bit isolated. Like everyone was very sad. It was very sad. It was very, very sad. Nobody could deny that it was really, really sad. And there was a protest. I wish more people were people were not pissed off enough to my satisfaction. I wanted people to be more pissed off, and they weren't. That kind of annoyed me.
They just moved on. After 3 days,
kind of, which I think we do with loads of things. Like I remember, what was it during the pandemic? Like Black Lives Matter, and everyone kind of jumped on this, Black Lives Matter thing, and then people just sort of forgot about it. It's like, well, black people in America didn't forget about it. Yeah. Or they say the hashtag Me Too, like a lot of men jumped on that and then just kind of forgot about it and moved on, but women didn't move on. So it was, it's kind of, I'm not making comparisons between the three things. I think they're different, but I think when it's your community that's attacked, you want people outside of your community to be equally as outraged. And when they're not, or when they are, but it's a bit temporary, it's quite depressing.
I can find a comparison about this. Maybe it's the same thing with religious shootings. For example, also, let's say sometimes when the church, there's a shooting going on, the church is angry. Why not so many people are angry about this shooting of the Catholic Church or something like that? And people that are not Catholic, they just don't relate that much to that, because they say this is a crime to society, to the historical church, to Catholicism. But a person that is not Catholic can't really relate to that, doesn't understand that.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely it's all kind of minorities. I think in some way there's total differences, and then elements where where they can be compared, because I mean nobody wants to live in a society where you're killed for shit that you can't control, or even for like belief system or stuff like that. No one wants to live in a world like that. But yeah, how much does it impact you personally, or how much time are you willing to give up? And I'd say that with total authority, like with total, you know, I'm just as bad as everybody else. Like, you know, I've been that same person, very upset, very angry, and then I move on the same way that other people did. This was a bit harder to move on from. But Vienna's much better, to answer your question. And I know Vienna has things that happened here in the past, but I haven't lived here for that. No, my experiences here have been reasonably positive. It's quite a tolerant city. The only thing that in Vienna I find a little bit intolerant or something is when people say things like, "Oh, that's not a very safe district." Realizing that absolutely everywhere in Vienna is like probably the safest district. Like the most dangerous district in Vienna is probably safer than the safest district in Dublin. But when people go,
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, like, oh, that's not really a very nice district, it's a little unsafe. Translation, not everyone in that district is white. That's the only thing I think people mean when anyone that's told me a district is not safe and I go there, I'm like, most people are not white.
Yeah.
But it looks perfectly safe to me. Like, I don't.
Well, it's also because in those districts, sometimes you see that the shops have these iron bars, which is not common in all districts in Vienna. And that makes people think, oh, maybe it's not safe here. I don't know if you have explored a little bit some areas that have those bars. And if you've seen them, for example, you said you moved into the 10th district, right?
Is that where the 10th is? The 10th is on top of Banov.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Ruimanplatz. Yeah, I like that. I think it's near the train station. It's not super expensive. Yeah.
No, that's totally in the heart of Vienna. It's very central location. But people see that there are, I think Gus had a nice joke about this, or another comedian, maybe I'm mistaken. He said, Gus, he's also from Brazil, and he said over there, when a district is not safe, it's because they just kill people every day. In Vienna, you can tell that the district is not safe only because it has a lot of cell phone shops.
Cell phone shops?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got a lot of handy shop. That's what makes people think, oh, this is... And when they say it's not safe, they basically mean it's an immigrant area.
Yeah, but that's more... to me, that's more interesting. Because A, the men are hotter, and B, the food's better. So I want to live in one of those areas.
And cheaper to live there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but I think everywhere in Vienna is really posh. I think the whole city is like a 4-star hotel.
It depends.
I don't feel glamorous enough to live in Vienna. Like, I pick my nose and fart in public a lot. I don't know how people of this city will welcome me when I move here. It might not go well.
Well, that's their business.
Yeah, maybe.
Are they going to get off in the next stop or no? Or if they're going to resist the fart smell?
I don't do it on public transport. I'm a little bit classy. But I feel like, everyone in Vienna looks very put together. Like, they've thought about their outfit. Like,
that's what you think? I think the opposite. I think people here do not pay much attention of how they look.
Oh, they do. I think they're very put together. They're not fashionable, don't get me wrong. I'm not giving them a compliment. They're not Italians. But everyone looks very put together. Like, I literally wake up in the morning, confront a mound of clothes, and just find a combination that would accept arms and legs, and then just run out the door. Like, I don't really give this a no. And then I come to Vienna, I'm like, oh, everyone's so classy. But it's very beige. Everyone is quite beige in their fashion.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's a dominant color here.
Yeah.
I've noticed it too.
A little bit of beige.
Well, do you prepare a lot before going on stage? Do you write the whole thing, or you just write bullet points? What is your writing process? How do you prepare before you go on stage?
I don't have I've never written a joke down. No, I don't actually write the joke down word for word. I remember I had this conversation with another comedian, Tito. He's great, but we have
he's my next guest.
No way. Yeah. He's a great guy. We don't approach comedy the same way at all. No, he was telling me how he does it, and I won't say how he does it, but I don't do it like him. I think of them in the shower.
You just have a topic.
No, I can hear it in my head before I can hear it. I can hear the words. I can hear where I enunciate, and open mics are fantastic because you can test out stuff in open mics if it works, if it doesn't work, if it needs to be fine-tuned. But I don't actually write it down. I normally have like a bullet point in my head, which is like, teacher, make that joke, and that joke. And then move on to gay, make that joke, that joke. Movies, this joke. But I made a great joke about a movie, and apparently it's all over the internet, and everyone's like, have you seen the Barbie movie?
Wait, can I film you while you say this?
But apparently someone was like, you stole that from the internet, and I didn't.
Okay, you created it.
Well, I think so. It's quite an obvious joke.
All right, go ahead.
Are you videoing me?
Yeah.
Okay, so have you seen the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
Okay, have you seen Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
What do those two movies have in common?
They were premiered at the same day.
No, they both feature products that were first launched in Japan. Joey. It's not cool. It's good, right?
It's good. But people are not laughing?
No,
or they be like,
people laugh a lot, but then some comedian was like, that's on the internet. And I was like, I know, I'm really famous. I'm all over Instagram. And they're like, no, that's like, you took that from the internet. And I was like, no, I didn't. I have another joke about children. When you talk to children, they don't know anything because they're young. Everything that you know, everything that they know, you already know. And that's literally word for word the same as what another famous comedian says on YouTube that I've never heard of. So when you're doing these topics that are quite well known, you can accidentally end up kind of kicking into not an entire joke. Like if it's that's like 3 seconds, but if it's like 4 or 5 minutes, you can be like, okay, you totally ripped this off.
I totally get it. I totally agree. I've written comedy for 7 years for comedy shows back in my country before coming here. I worked as a screenwriter. That's my main profession. That's how I started. And it happened all the time, as you say, when there are like global events going on and people are thinking how to do comedy with it or how to say something funny about it. The process and the structure that goes on in your head works pretty much the same way. You either start to look at things differently or you try another angle, you go on this side to look at the situation, and chances that someone else will do the same jokes are high. And it's totally acceptable. Also, there's been a major global case between two stand-up comedians. I think it's Bill Burr and another one, but I'm not sure 100%, that they did the same joke in two different shows, like separate from each other. They had no idea that they were doing the joke.
Yeah.
And one of them sues the other and says he copied it from me, for my show. And that wasn't true. And at the end, the court came to an agreement that in comedy, it is accepted that two comedians can do the same joke, and they had thought about it independently. They didn't copy it.
Yeah, I think it's the way that I've seen comics talk about, like there's a comic who talks about, like he's black and he's on stage and talks about if he doesn't mention the fact that he's black, everyone is going to be thinking, oh my God, does this guy not know that he's black?
It's like a gay joke that you did last time, right?
You heard it.
Yeah,
I have almost identical being like, I should probably say something gay.
Yeah.
Because people here are going to be like, is he gay? Is he gay? Just he's never said it. Like maybe he doesn't know that he's gay. So I have the same kind of, okay, this is just, it's not exactly the same, but I think it happens with certain. I try not to watch stand-up comedy.
So you're not influenced by them?
Yeah, I try not to. The ones I like are very kind of different. I love Ricky Gervais, but it's completely different from me. We're not
too wild. Yeah, he's too wild.
Yeah, like I'm not really very controversial. I hope.
Let's see. It's just the beginning.
Yeah, let's coming up, part 2. Shane is really controversial. And I love Michelle Wolf as well. I think she's great. But they're kind of the only two. Don't really watch a lot of them.
No Bill Burr, no Louis C.K.
No. I know who they are. Actually, I don't know who Bill Burr is. I've heard his name a million times. I don't know who he is.
Oh, they're
Lucy Kay. Lucy Kay is the ginger-haired guy.
Yeah.
He had a really funny thing, I think, years ago about talking about when you feel sad, that you immediately go on your phone and find something to make you feel happy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was a joke or just like philosophy, but it was quite...
Well, that's the thing about him, that he's very, very, very funny. He's maybe my favorite stand-up comedian in the world.
Okay.
And the things that he says are too deep, and that's what makes him funny. So basically, he's not really saying jokes. He's just searching beneath what everyone is thinking, and it just goes deep into people's minds, and it pulls that thing out and just says it in front of people who are just thinking that.
Okay.
So I would say it's also sort of observation comedy, not only jokes. He used to do jokes when he started like 30, 40 years ago. I don't know, 30 years ago. He used to do jokes like, you know how broke I am? These kind of jokes.
Yeah.
But now, at least in the last 10 years, since I know him, he's only doing observation comedy. He brings real life situations into stage, and no one has the courage to say the things that he's saying. And he just says that in front of people, and that's very funny. You should check him out.
I will.
I think he has a different style from you, so you wouldn't be influenced by him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of good. Also, I hate looking at myself.
Why is that?
Because I just look at myself go, Jesus Christ, you're so gay. I'm like, how is this funny?
When you try out jokes in open mics and a joke doesn't work, but you laugh so hard at it, and it's one of your favorite jokes, do you still do it the next time just because you like it? You don't care.
How do I answer this without sounding super arrogant? That's never happened to me.
Never? Well, that's great.
I've never told a joke that didn't work. Like, sometimes I feel like if I'm telling something, the audience are laughing in a place I didn't expect them to laugh at, or they don't laugh as much as I expected them to laugh because I went a little bit too fast or something. But I've never told a joke that I thought was funny that no one else thought was funny. That's never happened.
Your last gig was hilarious.
Thank you.
And that's something about the energy. You're in constantly like high decibels, in the sense you never go low. You're always on peak. You start very high, and you end it like that. And that keeps people engaging, especially last time. A few comedians before you, they were funny, but they were very low in voice, and their rhythm was slow.
Yeah, but it's you only have like, I think everybody had 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's, if I do a full show, which is like an hour, it goes a little bit like, they're longer and there's more storytelling. Like, you might not laugh for like a couple of minutes, but if it's 7 minutes, I think it should be boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So people...
That's why I thought that you were more experienced than just 1 year. No, because it was very engaging what you said.
Okay,
and
thank you.
You did this thing that you say a joke and people have just started to laugh with the first one, and then you punch again with another one. And that's something that comes with experience that you already have.
Yeah.
There's a sorry to interrupt.
No.
There's a 50-minute show, not even a show. It's like a film podcast, but not with this type of microphones. It's with Ricky Gervais, Chris Rock, Louis C.K. and Jerry Seinfeld. That were like the fathers of stand-up comedy, and until that 5 years ago or something, before the scandal with Louis C.K. And it's called Talking Funny. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
That's a master class in stand-up comedy. They just go sort of behind the scenes, how they create a joke, how they think about being funny. They discuss their favorite jokes, how it's built. It's really a masterclass. Yeah, I've seen that thing at least 3 times.
Okay.
That's something you should really check out.
Yeah.
And they say that's where talk about this thing I was just telling you, that they just make one joke and then the audience hasn't even finished laughing with the first one. They punch again with another one. They keep laughing even more, because also laughing is contagious,
Yeah.
And even if you have said the second joke a little bit later, they wouldn't have laughed as much as they laughed the first time, because the engagement. So you just keep them engaged, keep them in the rhythm. Yeah, that's what you do.
Is it?
That's great. You should check this thing out.
Make me sound like such a comedy engineer.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of structure anyway.
Yeah.
It's not just, people think it's just like a funny guy going up there, but there's something, maybe you are. just that. But I'm pretty sure you also think about how you're going to say the joke. It's not just you going on stage and not thinking about how you're going to build your structure and how you're going to talk.
Yeah, probably a lot of it is subconscious, but I do prepare. Like, I don't think I don't want to listen to anybody with a microphone in a silent room that hasn't fucking prepared. It's annoying, and it's disrespectful to your audience.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of prepare by, just having it in my head and knowing I'm going to jump from that to that to that to that, and have it kind of all ironed out. I think structurally, I don't think about it that much. I probably should, but I don't.
Yeah. Check out this show, and I'm pretty sure you'll love it, and you're gonna learn a lot from it.
Okay.
Because it's the greatest comedians. You know, they're so funny with this special from Louis C.K. I don't know if you heard that they call it a scandal now, but to me it's not even a scandal, but that's what they do. They cancel people.
I know there's something with him. Yeah. I just redheaded with the women or something.
Yeah, so the thing is, he masturbated while he was on the phone with a woman. Like, who cares, right?
Okay.
That's all there is. There's no raping. There's no pedophiles involved. Nothing. There's just him home talking on the phone with flirting with his girl or whatever, with his woman, and they were both in it. And then somehow the girl just goes on to live her life, but realizes that, what he did was wrong, and maybe asking for money or whatever. If you don't give me money, I'm going to say this. And she did. She just said it. She tried to open a court case. Why do you have to open a court case? There's nothing illegal, I guess.
Okay. To masturbate. I don't know.
On the phone.
That's not illegal.
On the phone, yeah. And that's all it took, that he was canceled everywhere. Netflix canceled his show. He lost millions of dollars.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And a couple of years later, he starts going back on the track again. And his first special after this scandal, he goes on stage and says, all right, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Because everyone was expecting him to talk about it.
Oh, so this might be a little bit like
maybe you've seen this scene?
No, but Chris Rock, when he didn't talk about the slap.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah. And then eventually he did talk about it.
But the slap came much later than this. It was much later than that. And then Louis C.K. says, all right, let's talk about it. You want to talk about it? So here's the thing. You all got something. You all have a secret that no one knows. My thing, Obama knows my things. Everyone knows my thing. That's how intimidating it is. Everyone suddenly knew about it.
Okay, yeah.
And it doesn't really make sense that they just can't. He went really, 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 really high there. He just became the greatest stand-up comedian of the time that he was living. And they suddenly just cut him down.
Okay.
For these stupids.
I'll definitely check out. He's a name that I know. I don't know if I'll find him funny though, because often the ones that are really famous, I don't. I just normally don't find them particularly funny. And the one thing in comedy I've noticed in Edinburgh was that the funniest people are the ones that are starting, are the ones that are on the ground, because they just don't give a fuck. They don't get if you're famous and you're well known and you have a brand and an image and it needs to be protected, it makes it very beige. It makes it like I saw some really well known comedians and I was like, this is shit. I wouldn't pay 20 quid for this, which is incredibly depressing. Yeah. It's a little bit like the music industry when you go to this kind of like underground club and you hear these like amazing DJs, amazing music, amazing fusion, and then you listen to the radio and you're like, this is crap.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's like Coldplay. They used to do so great songs in their first 3 albums. Now they're just doing this pop with 3 sentences in one song.
I've never understood them. I'm sort of just
like the new one, the newest things, or the first 3 albums.
And it was all yellow. Is that their first song?
That's among the first albums, yeah.
Shut up. What was yellow? And why is there no yellow in your music video? Like, shut up.
Well, that's something you can talk about on a stage. You can really discuss it. Yeah, no. People are going crazy. And people really are going crazy about Coldplay. In Vienna, they have 4 shows next year.
Yeah.
4 shows. And their tickets went were sold out in 9 minutes.
Yeah, I think this is just the modern, like, is it Taylor Swift as well? Like, he's doing 3 shows in Dublin, and
that's something you can talk about.
Yeah, I'd love if my tickets sold out in that. I'd love to get my mum to buy my tickets. Like, buy my tickets, Mum. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
We should cut it out?
Yeah.
All right, let's cut it out. Hey, thanks, man.
So,
what do you want to talk about? Something you want to inform us about? You said you had something, or it was just a play, you have no idea when it's going to play?
Okay, no, I do have one thing. When is this coming out?
Today is then probably by the end of the week.
So on October 7th in Dasgugg, Dasgugg, I have a solo show. Okay. So it's me doing stand-up comedy for an hour, and I've got lots of props and stuff. I will have some guest people doing like warm-up acts as well, but I have a full comedy show October 7th in Dasgugg. It's in the 4th district, I believe.
Here, Yes. Do you have a link for registration for that?
I do.
Then it's in the description.
Then it's in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, please come. I'd love to meet you all. If you're single and you're gay, there's a discount. No, I'm kidding. There's no discount.
You should definitely check him out. He's very funny. All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you so much. This was fun.